What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel. Today is Saturday, June 30th. It is day 17 of the World Cup. Also, first day of the knockout rounds. I'm here with my brother Christian. Matt is off in Houston on vacation, going on swamp tours. And we are joined by our friend Dalu, who's been on the podcast before. Dalu, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right. Good to hear. Sorry, condolences to Nigeria getting knocked out, but I think you're still following and enjoying the tournament, hopefully.
Yes, at least less bias.
All right. That's always good. That's how we've been enjoying this tournament. Christian, how you doing today?
I'm great, Dave. I thought the games today were very entertaining, and I'm ready to talk about them.
Absolutely. I am as well. Dalu, we have his Twitter account linked in our video description, and podcast listeners, we have that linked as well. So please go give him a follow on Twitter. All right. We ready to talk about today's matches?
I'm ready to get talking.
All right. Let's do it. All right. So the first match of the day, France versus Argentina. It finished 4-3 to France. So France progresses Messi out of the World Cup. Dalu, your thoughts on the match?
Actually, I'm really excited that France finally got going. We saw the French team we've all been expecting to see, because they've been really below par during the group stages. But at least against Argentina, we actually saw the real France and the real Mbappe, the real Pogba, everybody. And Argentina, I feel they were a little slightly better than they were during the group stages, but their defense was, as usual, very suspect, and they paid the price.
I think those are all fair points. Christian, your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I thought France actually dominated the match. It really wasn't as close as the scoreline ended up being. I thought France completely controlled the midfield. We're just running by Argentina players. We're just so much faster, so much fitter, just looked like they had a game plan. And the fact that it was 4-3 just made it all the more enjoyable for the fans, but I have no idea how that happened.
Agreed. Now, I thought you brought up a really good point. I mean, it was incredible. Mbappe pulled away. Pogba had a situation too. You don't see players as fast with the ball at their feet, as when they're running, and it's really tough to pull away from defenders who are trying to defend you. And we saw it multiple occasions. So the French players just so much more pace than the Argentinian defenders throughout the match. What did you make of Messi as the center forward, kind of lone man up top, Dalu? What did you think about that from the formation?
I actually did not support it, in all honesty. Because sometimes he felt like left out of the game. So he had to drop really deep to get the ball, which is what they've been trying to avoid the entire tournament. Messi dropping deep and having less influence on the attack. But he still had to do that because he wasn't getting the ball. So
yeah, I mean, he popped up at right back in some instances, and he's the center forward. I mean, yeah, he was popping up all over the pitch. I mean, I agree with you. I think they work better when they have kind of that lone focal point, and then Messi kind of in that free floating role underneath him. Christian, what'd you make of that?
Yeah, it was really stupid. I don't understand why they came out with that formation or that lineup at all. I can't believe that Aguero or Higuain did not start. I can't believe Dybala didn't even start once in 4 games at the World Cup. Every time I hear that and I see something about it, it makes me mad all over again. I think he is the closest thing they have to Messi right now, and they could have figured out a way to use them both. It's just ridiculous to me that he didn't get on the field. But Aguero and Higuain, clearly they were missing that focal striker who's going to pressure the back line. Messi, the way he plays for Argentina and Barcelona, he is a free roamer. That's what he is. He just finds the space, he gets the ball, and he tries to create from wherever he is on the field at that time. When you have your striker as that person, you no longer have anyone in the middle up top to hold up the play or to create from the front and to lay the ball off. That's not his game at all. Like, he plays a false 9 for Barcelona every once in a while. He doesn't really anymore, but he used to. Their wingers were their strikers at that time. They would come inside. That's not what they were doing. And I have no idea why they came out the way they did today. And I'm just in utter disbelief that the scoreline was what it was.
Yeah. Wait, honestly, the only reason he succeeded as a false 9 for Barcelona was because the creative role, he had no creative responsibilities back then in Barcelona. It was mostly like Xavi and Iniesta who would create for Messi as a false 9. Even now, he doesn't do that anymore because he has the major creative role in Barcelona. So he wouldn't even survive as a false nine today in Barcelona.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I don't understand
that
why.
yeah, that's a good point. We lost you a little bit at the end there, but I think you basically said he wouldn't survive as a false nine in Barcelona right now because he's the creative influence there. Christian, you seem like you disagree.
Yeah, I just think that with the players they have, like if Suarez was lined up on the left, he'd be cutting inside. He'd be almost playing like a striker. And right now they don't need him to because Coutinho plays that role. He is the number 10 in the middle. So
Yeah.
I know he's not Messi.
Well, no. Let's so this isn't a Barcelona discussion. So let's not go too far down this rabbit hole. So let's get back to this particular match. The 11th minute, Mbappe really showed his first burst of pace. This was when he just picked up the ball in the midfield and just blew by everyone. And Rojo, too aggressive. I called this out on our podcast yesterday, Christian. I've been highlighting it all tournament. I think Otamendi and Rojo are not great center backs. They're fine. I just don't think they're great. They're overly aggressive. And in this case, Rojo, overly aggressive, pulls down Mbappe, gives away a penalty in the 11th minute. Christian, I know we were texting during this. You actually don't think it was a penalty. Do you still stick by that?
I do stick by that. I think that he was pulling him outside the box. It did not continue into the box. I think that he lets go before that, and they're still like close to each other. There's slight contact, but I don't think he's holding him anymore once he crosses that plane, and that ball should have been called back to a free kick. But if that was the case, that is running a risk of having a red card as well.
Dalu, thoughts on that?
I initially I thought he had lost the ball, but looking at it again, I kind of felt it might have been a penalty.
And I kind of subscribe to that too. I think he lets go, but then he cuts across the back of Mbappe. And anytime you do that, there's a chance of clipping heels and things like that. And so for me, I'm fine with the penalty call. Griezmann steps up, converts it in the 13th minute. France takes a 1-0 lead. In my notes, I think I highlighted exactly what we were talking about. There's no center offensive outlet because Messi is in that free roaming role. 19th minute, there was a foul on Pogba in the middle of the park. He plays a ball over the top. The ball arguably could have been rolling, but Mbappe, again, just in behind the defense, and he takes a touch and was run over by, I can't remember who committed the foul at that point. I can't remember if it was Otamendi or Tagliafico or someone else, but after halftime, they brought in Dr. Joe on the U.S. broadcast, and he highlighted that, in his opinion, this should have been a red card because it was denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. It was last man back, and Mbappe would have been in on a breakaway. Dalu, do you remember this play? What are your thoughts on that?
I think he was right, actually. At the point of the play, I thought it was a penalty, but for some reason, it wasn't given, and I was like, okay, at least. I don't know.
Should it have been a red card? So ultimately, the referee called the foul just right outside the box. Now, we can argue, so clearly it was a foul. We all agree it was a foul. Where it was located, maybe we don't necessarily agree on. But what about the fact that he was only given a yellow card in this instance?
Well, it would have been sad. I'm fine with the yellow card, honestly. I'm happy with the yellow card. But by the rules of the book, I understand why. If they had given a red card, I would understand. But
okay, so you're good with the yellow card. Christian, do you remember this play?
Yeah, and I thought Dr. Joe was a little bit harsh there. I don't agree really at all with that decision. I think that he clearly clips him, yes, but I don't think Mbappe was clearly breaking away from everyone at that point. He was really close to the goalie. The touch wasn't really controlled, and I don't really think he was going to clearly get on the end of it, and it was going to be an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Plus, there was more than one defender back there who may have been able to track back. So I think the yellow card and the foul outside the box was 100% correct.
Fair enough. Argentina, though they were playing with Messi as the center forward, they were still trying to get the ball wide and swing in crosses, which just made no sense throughout the first half. I mean, we've already kind of harped on the formation and their tactics. I just wanted to highlight that it just didn't make sense throughout the first half. And then kind of seemingly out of nothing, France was clearly in control. And then 41st minute, Argentina has a throw in the offensive third of the field. The ball gets worked to Di Maria, who's standing about 30 yards from goal in the middle of the park. Conte is sagged back into the box. Matuidi is way off him as well, and Di Maria's got about 10 yards free space, lines up, fires an absolute blast in the 41st minute to even the score. But Dalu, do you want to break down what happened on this goal?
Well, Basically, I feel like just Di Maria's individual brilliance. Like this game clearly shows like France are a team with a plan. They had a method of breaking down the old Argentine defense, and while Argentina are just a team playing with their individuals, hoping they'll produce like brilliant moments, which sometimes they did. I really don't think they had a clear plan. Argentina, they just attacked and hoped someone did something nice. So
That honestly sums it up pretty well. I think that's pretty spot on. Christian, what did you think of this goal?
Yeah, I agree with him completely. I think that that is their game plan. It's let our individuals provide the moment of magic because they have no tactical outline at all. And I think they were crossing the ball because that's what they think they should be doing, but I don't think they know what they should be doing. I don't think it's ever been discussed. And it blows my mind that a team with that attacking creativity and talent with club teams could come together on a national team and just be that poor at linking up together.
I'd agree with that. Now, for the actual goal, I want to get back to this. So for me, I fault both Conte and Matuidi. So there was not a huge threat of Argentinian players in the box. So for me, it didn't make sense with how far sagged off of Di Maria both those players were. And so at least Conte was in the middle of the box and somewhat guarding, a danger area. Matuidi was almost doubled up on Mercado, who was the outside back for Argentina. I thought he should have pinched in and closed that space down. So for me, I felt kind of a combination of those two for even letting the shot happen. But Di Maria was pretty brilliant. I mean, it's a fantastic strike, and so I don't want to take anything away from him, but I just thought it could have been closed down. Anything else, Dalu, you wanted to highlight from the first half before we talk about the second half?
No, I'm good.
All right, Christian?
Nope.
All right. Second half, Rojo comes out, Fazio comes on. Again, I thought Rojo had a terrible performance. There was another instance I forgot to highlight in the first half where he was isolated on the wing, and instead of just standing up the guy and just waiting, he just rushes into the tackle. The guy takes one touch around him and is in, and it's just like schoolboy defending. And
that was Griezmann. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, I mean, clearly he's got pace. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you rushing in that instance? And it was just poor play. So again, Fazio on for him, I thought was warranted. What's that, Dalu? Hello? Okay. We'll just keep going here.
I think I lost you guys.
Okay.
I lost you guys.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Okay,
awesome.
good.
2-1, Argentina takes the lead. So I thought Argentina, Christian, you said France dominated, but I thought Argentina had a good run of play in the early part of the second half. They were kind of mounting pressure on France, and France was a bit too casual. Argentina takes the lead. I think this was off of a set piece. I can't remember if it was a corner
It
or...
was. Di Maria took on what was his name?
Pavard.
And he megs him. He got brought down. Di Maria swung the free kick into the box. It gets chipped over to the far side of the box. Messi's there, brings it down, takes a shot, and Mercado just tapped it in. So
and Pavard kept him on side.
Pavard also kept him on. Yeah. So he had a little bit of a shocker to the start of the second half until you will talk about what happened next.
Yeah. So that came in the 48th minute. Argentina takes the lead. And like I said, I thought once France went up, they were almost too casual and they almost played overconfident to a certain extent from my perspective. Dalu, any thoughts on either the Argentina goal or how France started the second half?
Yeah, it just felt like France felt like they were about to really like just ride this game on because they felt too confident. They started playing. Plus, Argentina were really getting any clear-cut chances. So I agree with you. They felt really overconfident. But then, as expected, they turned it up a gear.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And that brings us to the 57th minute. Apologies for cutting you off there. What was that? Dalu?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I did as expected. France turned it up a gear and ended the game.
Yes, they did. And that brings us to the 57th minute. This started with a ball from Matuidi. Christian, you have something to say before we move on?
Before we get to that goal, I just want to throw out, after Argentina took the lead, I actually really enjoyed watching them play because they were playing against a France team who were kind of pushing forward, and it left space for the Argentina attackers, and they were linking up much, much better. And it was a little bit unfortunate that it didn't last very long because I think they could have really turned on some style.
You like the way Argentina played or France?
Yeah. Argentina were playing once they were up because they actually had space to attack.
Fair enough. And that didn't really last too long. And that brings us to the 57th minute, where it started with an absolutely superb ball from Mutwidi, who plays a line-splitting pass in between the defense for an on-rushing Hernandez, who, side note, I thought Hernandez played very well, the outside back, left back for France throughout the match. He got in a good cross here into a dangerous area. Nobody gets on the end of it, but it bounces all the way through to Pavard, who's crashing on the far post. And he hits a half volley, with he slices across the ball. So it starts outside the post and just bends in. If you haven't seen the highlight, you got to go check it out on YouTube or on Twitter. I'm sure it's everywhere. Dalu, what'd you make of this goal?
Oh, the Pavard goal?
Yeah.
This is brilliant. It's probably my best goal of the tournament so far.
It was better than the
Nacho?
Yeah, Nacho goal.
Arguably.
All right, Christian, what about you?
Absolutely the best goal of the tournament so far. That technique that he just showed is so difficult to do. The ball was much higher than it was for Nacho. It's honestly such a difficult skill to do. And people who don't understand the game completely don't understand how amazing that goal really was.
It was superb. And to hit, I mean, it's his first goal ever for France, I think his 9th cap. And again, like you said, for it to be that high and for him not to sky the ball, for him not to hit it just directly into the ground, for him to make that good of contact and put it where he put it was superb and drew the match. And then from then on, France just kind of turned up the intensity. 64th minute, Mbappe gets a goal. The ball was played out wide by Pogba to Hernandez again. He's heavily involved in this. Again, he crosses it into a dangerous area. The ball bounces around a bit, and Mbappe reacts the quickest. And a lot of times we kind of think of Mbappe as just a speed player, but he's also got that quickness and those touches in tight spaces where he just reacts quickest. He takes a touch out of the dangerous area. I think it's actually almost 2 quick touches. He touches it with his right foot and then again very quickly. So the defense kind of gets blown away and he slices in. Perfectly placed goal, and France takes the lead 3-2. Christian, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, I'm going to disagree with you there. Perfectly placed goal is not correct. I think the goalkeeper has to do so much better. That is absolutely embarrassing to let that ball fall in the way that he did.
That's fascinating.
I think because the commentary was saying the same exact thing, and they're spot on. I think that goalkeepers from that position should not be letting the ball go in. He could have stuck his foot out and saved it. There's no reason you need to go down the way that he did. And that ball snuck underneath of him, and that should never have happened. I think Mbappe deserves a lot of credit for bringing the ball down the way that he did. And he got the shot on target. And yeah, you got to give him credit for that. Absolutely. And he had power in it, but the goalkeeper has to do so much better. And that's just my feeling on that matter.
Dalu, your thoughts there?
I completely agree with him. Nothing, not to take away from Mbappe's brilliance and everything, but the defense and the keeper doesn't makes it so much easy for him to do all that. Honestly.
So for me, growing up, I'm sorry, Dalu, continue.
Yeah, he was brilliant, but I felt like the defense made it easy for him the entire day, throughout. He could just run past them easily, just like playing on amateur level, something like that.
Yeah.
FIFA.
I mean, to an extent, but I mean, I think that's taking somewhat slight away from Mbappe. I mean, I think Mbappe just played spectacularly. Like this goal, again, this wasn't just him running away. This was him taking 2 quick touches to draw the defense in and then quickly touching away from them to create space. And then when we're growing up, when we're working on finishing drills, you're taught to hit the ball exactly where Mbappe hit it for goalkeepers, because low and to the side is really tough for a goalkeeper to get to. So for me, I think this was perfectly placed. So I'm going to disagree with both of you guys on that one. Christian, anything else you wanted to add here?
Yeah, you're wrong.
Okay. Dalu, anything else you wanted to add?
I think the keeper
Either the keeper should have done better. All right, fair enough. Aguero comes on for Perez in the 66th minute. Finally they go to a center striker who is in fact a center striker. Messi drops back into more of that free floating role. Shortly after, Mbappe gets his 2nd goal of the match. I mean, it's a well-worked goal from a goal kick. I mean, Lloris plays it short to Conte in the middle of the park. He plays it up, line splitting pass. There's a quick combo play and at the center forward. Giroud is in, just plays a slip ball to Mbappe, who's breaking in from the wing and just slots it perfectly home. Christian, thoughts on the goal?
Oh my God, it was stunning. That's the type of open play goals you really, really want to see. And we had another one in the second game that we'll get to later. But that really was just beautifully, beautifully crafted through the team. Just did level to level to level and in. Like it was straight through the middle. That being said, it was straight through the middle. Like, I don't understand how Argentina were set up defensively to allow them to pass straight up the middle the entire way and then just have a goal. You don't take it away from France. France, that goal is absolutely stunning. That's great team play on the counter. But I don't understand what Argentina are doing defensively, and that finish from Mbappe is just perfect. Like, that one actually is perfect right into the corner.
Yeah, no, and that's a really good point. I mean, a lot of times when you see defenses getting pulled apart, it's because a team has worked it side to side.
It's going wide, midfield, out the other way, midfield, maybe lay off to the striker, lays it off, plays it through to the winger. This was 3 passes, level, goal. Like, that is just what it was. It was insane.
Yeah, Dalu, what'd you make of the goal?
That was a well-placed finish. That was a well-placed finish. And that was just beautiful to watch, honestly. I feel like you lost, like, have covered up everything. They played really good football leading up to the goal. So, and Mbappe finished. The finish was class. There's nothing more I can say.
All right.
Yeah, it was a little unfortunate that after that, though, it seemed like France didn't really want to play anymore. Like, that was the last we saw of France playing really, really good soccer.
Yeah, I mean, when you're up 2-0 with 20 minutes to go.
2-0, interesting.
I'm sorry, you're up you're up by 2 goals. You know what I meant. You're up by 2 goals with 20 minutes to go. I mean, I think it's natural to sit back and try to defend and absorb pressure. You don't want to open yourself up. And so, I agree with that. Matuidi then picked up a yellow card shortly after. Christian, I know you wanted to talk about this a little bit, so you want to elaborate?
Yeah. So Matuidi picked up a yellow card after a foul in the midfield. I forget who got fouled, but he was yelling for, I think, an Argentina player to get booked. And he picked up another yellow card, which means he's out of the next match. That's absolutely ridiculous that he picked up a yellow card for arguing with the referee. Like, at this level, like, you have to be aware that if you get a yellow card, you're out of the next match. And he is a key part of this midfield that has been playing really well in these last couple of games. And I just can't believe he lost his discipline like that. You can't do that.
So he got a yellow for dissent?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that because I knew the camera kind of cut away, and when they came back to him, I wasn't sure if it was for that or whatnot. So yeah, I mean that's poor awareness from Matuidi in that instance. Dalu, any thoughts on Matuidi missing the next match for France?
He is key to how they've been playing for the past couple of matches, but I feel like they have enough in the tank to make up for him. No, honestly.
Fair enough. I mean,
but they have Kante, and I feel the Bayern player
Tolisso.
Tolisso. I like him, so hopefully he plays. They find a way to fit him in.
Yeah, I think he plays a different style than Matuidi, and the way Matuidi and Kante play together just really frees up Pogba. And so I have some concern about Matuidi being out the next match. And so I've loved this. This France lineup is the lineup I wanted to see moving forward. This is what I've been saying since the first match, that this is their strongest lineup, and so gives me slight concern that he's out next match. Now, there wasn't too much to report from the rest of the game until the 93rd minute. That's when Argentina get their third goal. Messi just hits absolutely perfect, 30-yard driven ball into Aguero in the box for an inch-perfect header, and scores, makes it 4-3, sets up a somewhat interesting finish, and we'll talk about Otamendi at the very end here. But Dalu, your thoughts on Argentina's third goal?
It was classic Messi ball over the top to like the same way he usually feeds Suarez at club level. Just gives it to Aguero. And I would have liked to see them play together like this early on, at least. But unfortunately, we don't know who sets up the team. So
that's a good point.
Too late.
Yeah. The other weird, I don't know what was up with Aguero's jersey. I think he cuts the top little bit of it. What's Christian? You're nodding. Do you know the story behind this?
I have no idea, but I noticed it, and a lot of people on Twitter were like talking about it. And it was just really funny to hear what people were saying.
Yeah.
A new fashion trend.
Yeah. New fashion statement.
Fashion
Christian,
statement.
yeah. Christian, any thoughts on the goal?
Yeah, I just my jaw drops every time Messi puts that pass into the box, and he does it over and over again at the club level. You just see it all the time. Specifically, I see it do it like when he drops in on the right side. He plays it to Jordi Alba all the time. And again, this isn't a Barcelona conversation, so I'll move along. But like that pass is so difficult to do, and he does it so consistently. It drives like it. It is insane how talented he can be because he can do every aspect of the game, and that's just really, really amazing to watch. And the finish is great from Aguero, obviously, but that pass is insane, and we almost saw them pull this off at the very last second, and I just can't believe that almost happened. And just before we go into that, I want to say the last 15 minutes, we saw Messi being Messi a little bit more. He was getting on the ball a lot and was really dangerous. He got that dribble that he got on his right foot that had no power in it. And he also put that ball through to Aguero that did get blocked, but he was definitely a huge threat and looked like Messi in the last couple of minutes of that game.
It was once Aguero came on and it freed him
Yeah.
up. And, we should have seen that earlier. Also, Messi, I think Gary Lineker tweeted this out, but Messi has now assisted in 4 straight World Cups, which he's the only player to do that, at least for these last 4 World Cups. I don't know if there have been other players in history. So, I know he gets a lot of flack for not scoring in the knockout rounds, but he has still performed at the highest level. So I wanted to highlight that. Then the last thing I wanted to mention from this game is the Otamendi play at the towards the end of the game. I can't remember who was fouled. I don't know if it was Fekir, if it was Pogba. I think it might have been Pogba. Pogba was fouled at midfield. It was Pogba. He's laying on the ground. Otamendi, the referee blows the whistle, maybe a second or so, and then Otamendi comes up and just blasts it into Pogba on the ground. We saw him do this in a match earlier. I can't remember who it was against. Christian, do you remember?
It was against Croatia. He did it to Rakitic, and then Rakitic is the bar on the free kick.
And so he's done this twice now. I think this should have been a red card, especially after he's already done it before. It's clearly what he's trying to do. Dalu, do you remember this play? What do you make of him kicking it at the player on the ground?
I felt it was stupid because it really affects his team negatively because it kind of breaks the flow and everything. He should have just kept going because Argentina looked to get back really on the ball quickly. So him doing that, causing all the fracas everywhere, everyone like all the players gathering the referee, that doesn't help Argentina in any way. So I don't understand why players do that. Like, Agreed. They should have been like ready to get going. Don't argue with the ref. Just play football.
Agreed. Christian, thoughts?
Absolutely should be a red card. He should have had 2 red cards in this World Cup, and I have no idea why he was able to continue to play. That is absolutely unacceptable. That he is kicking the ball at another player, and it's quite obvious. I don't know why VAR doesn't bring that back and why he's not retroactively punished, because those are really unacceptable things. Because if he kicks that ball hard enough into somebody's head, that can cause real damage, and that really can't just stand. And it seems like that's what's happening right now. He definitely killed his team's momentum. They had just scored, fouled, and he did that immediately. That like a minute and a half or 2 minutes of stopping of the entire game flow, and that hurt Argentina a little bit.
Good points, Dalu. Yeah, Dalu. Anything else to add from this match?
Yeah, that was really stupid. He should have been given a red card. I don't understand the logic behind what he was trying to do, honestly.
I don't think there was logic behind it, which is my issue with Otamendi a lot of times. I don't know.
And that meant he was out of the next game too. Like, it was so stupid. He's a moron.
Yeah, it was frustration. I mean, you can somewhat understand it, but at the highest levels, I mean, these guys need to rise above it and have more discipline. Christian, anything else you wanted to add from this match?
I don't think so.
All right, let's talk about the second match. Just finished. Uruguay 2, Portugal 1. Christian, let's get your thoughts on this match first. What did you make of the match?
Well, I made of the match exactly what I predicted it would happen.
So did I.
Had the exact score, and good job, Dave.
Hey.
Very good. Uruguay are just really very, very, very good defensively. It is really insane to watch how good they are. Like, they're not even great defensively until they're in the box, but in the box, it looks like they give up almost no chances without it being blocked or crosses coming into the box. They always seem to win that first header, other than that one corner where they kind of switched off. Other than that, they are so sound defensively and just controlling the ball. They're very impressive, and I wouldn't be surprised if they can beat France. Like, they look very, very, very good and know their game plan every single time they walk on the field.
Dalu, thoughts on the match?
Yeah, so coming into this game, I knew these were two really defensive teams. Judging by all the group stages, you see Egypt dominating the ball against Uruguay and Iran and Morocco doing the same to Portugal. They play counter attacking football. So this was really interesting. I really wanted to see who was gonna actually come out and play. So my prediction was like any team that scores first, the other team will have to come out and play. That team would end up losing the game. So it ended up being Uruguay who scored first. And then Portugal had to do something they have not done the entire tournament and have not done since. They didn't even do it in the Euros. They had to come out and play, which honestly they kind of suck at because they get to the box and just play cross. They're really terrible at playing 1-2s around the box and trying to like split the defense. They cannot do that. So they have to get to the box and try to cross the ball. Hopefully Ronaldo get a header. That's all they kept trying, and that's what Uruguay wanted them to do. They just keep putting those crosses in, and we keep heading it out. Like that's what they are trained to do. They are masters of that defending that penalty area. Like they don't let anything. Like honestly, I think Pepe was kind of lucky to get that one header, and that was like the first goal they had considered in a while, according to the commentator.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah,
actually surprised they let it go from crossing actually. But I predicted them to win this game. So
yep. So we were all correct on those predictions. Christian, what'd you make of Bernardo Silva in over Quaresma and Ricardo in over Cedric in the Portuguese lineups?
Uh, I actually have no problem with either of them. They're all experienced players, and Bernardo Silva obviously plays for Manchester City. He doesn't start every week, but he gets time there, and he's obviously a very quality player. And Cedric, I feel like sometimes he can just kind of be a little reckless, so I have no problem with him not starting in there. I did want to say that Portugal, I think, had 19 shots and 15 were off target during that game. So you can't say that they weren't getting their chances. They just could not hit the target, too.
Yeah, but they were also from outside the box, and
Ronaldo drives me fucking nuts with where he shoots from. He's like 35 out and he hits the ball, and I just want to throw something at him
yeah,
every
but he
single
doesn't do
time.
that every time. It's kind of when they aren't creating anything else, he tries that. So I think he definitely was sharing the ball and getting into the box as well. So it's not
He
like
did it
every
like
time.
the first minute, and I was just like, okay, here we fucking go.
Yeah, but then he shared the
He
ball.
did it
So
a lot of times, though.
well, they weren't
he did it
creating
a lot.
anything else. Yeah, well, they weren't creating anything else. Like Dalu was saying. I mean, what did you want him to do?
I
But
mean,
honestly, though, he still does that at Real Madrid all the time. He shoots more than anybody else. Even
yeah.
you can't accuse Madrid of not creating chances. I think he enjoys doing that. Hopefully, he can score like a banger, and he's all over the news.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
that's what Dad was saying during the game. He was just like, Ronaldo looks like he just like runs around there and he's waiting for someone to just give him the ball to score so that he can be on the cover of the magazine. I was
Well,
just
to be
like, yeah,
honest,
that is what he is.
yeah,
I'm kind of happy they're out because that would like not bring up any Messi versus Ronaldo arguments for the rest of the World
Exactly.
Cup.
yeah,
So they're both out. Let's be done with it.
And
yeah. I know. That's
Germany,
the
like
point.
it's just like a lot of the big talking points are out. So now we actually have to focus on the teams that are left.
Yeah, I'm loving that. Now with the Bernardo Silva, I liked him in over Quaresma, but I didn't think he was very influential out wide. Late in the second half, when he moved inside, I thought he played much better. So again, it was a case of a little bit too little, too late. Now Uruguay gets a goal early in the match. Came in the 7th minute. It starts with them building out of the back and eventually works its way to Cavani, who's kind of at right midfield. He plays just an absolutely perfect driven ball about 50 yards across the pitch to Suarez, who takes it down very well, beats Ricardo kind of on a quick dribble, and then swings in a kind of a driven cross. And Cavani, who's crashing, hits it off his face or shoulder. I can't exactly tell how he gets it. It looks like it kind of comes off his face and just drives it in at the near post. Uruguay takes the lead. Dalu, what'd you make of the goal?
That was beautiful. That kind of reminded me a little bit of Suarez from the old days of Liverpool, where he comes out, tries to play, tries to run with the ball, kind of thing. I'd missed that Suarez, and that cross was fucking awesome. Then Cavani, El Matador, jumps off and does what he always does at PSG and at Uruguay as well, and scores a beautiful goal. It was a nice header. Even if it comes off his chest or his face, I don't care. That was a nice goal.
Yep.
So it
Completely
was
in
beautiful.
agreement. Yeah, completely in agreement there. Christian, thoughts on the goal?
Stunning. I absolutely loved that goal. I think that was the best goal of the day, probably the best team goal of the tournament. And I
Pavard?
really, Well, other than yeah, I guess that's true. But team goal wise,
Okay.
but
I like
that
second goal.
it was honestly so beautiful the way that those two strikers just link up, and they're just clearly a level above the players that they were playing against. And the ball from Cavani is amazing, and then that cross from Suarez even took it up a notch there. And that just every single thing about that, it was perfectly placed. That you just drop your jaw in amazement at the fact that they can do that at will.
Absolutely. Now, you brought up an interesting point, and I think you're spot on with Cavani and Suarez playing so well together. But it's also really weird because they play a 4-4-2 offensively, Uruguay, but the forwards generally aren't very close together. Suarez and Cavani are oftentimes very spread apart and kind of staggered. And, it's just a different way. It clearly works, but it's just different than what you normally see in that formation. So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight that because it's something kind of strange to watch.
And Suarez is definitely a pest. You can clearly tell the way that when you play against him, and everybody knows that he's got issues off the field and on the field, but he's definitely fixed that part of his game that is from what we've seen. And he is just so relentless in his pressure on defense. He just does not let the center backs, the goalkeepers, the outside backs rest at all. And yeah, he's a little older now, and you could clearly tell he was tired at the end of that game, but he still was doing it. And I know in the first half he did have that one moment where
Yeah.
he just leaned over with the ball.
I have it written down in the 35th minute.
Yeah.
He looked winded. He looked good, but he just doesn't seem completely right to me. That was weird to see from Suarez and from someone at the World Cup in the 35th minute looking that winded that early, right?
He did run a lot, though.
Yeah.
He did run a
Yeah,
lot.
he just never stops
More than he
running.
does
So
in
it's
Barcelona.
In the 35th minute, though, guys, Dalu.
Fair play to him. I feel like he did run a lot, and he
Okay.
didn't get up there. He still played the whole 90 minutes. So,
All right, yeah.
but it was clear he was tired.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, that was just something interesting to see. And then after that, for the rest of the first half, again, it looked like he was sort of conserving his energy. And I didn't know if he picked up a knock, and that's why he was, hands on the knees. I don't know sometimes if he was grabbing something or if I think at the end of the day, I think he just might have been winded. So that was interesting for me to see. Cavani, on the other hand, I thought was doing very well, especially tracking back. I mean, Uruguay's formation seemed to revert defensively into kind of a 4-5-1 or maybe a 4-4-1-1, but Cavani was definitely tasked with tracking back. And I thought he played fantastic till he was forced out through a sub, which hopefully he's okay. Anything else to add from the first half, Christian, before we talk about the second?
No, I think, I guess I'll throw one thing out there. I think the thing with Suarez, he really does run a lot. And today they showed the weather and the humidity and everything. It was 80 degrees with almost 90% humidity. That is really overbearing and difficult to breathe in, especially when you run that much. So that may have been why he didn't really stop. He just always looked tired on the field.
Dalu, anything else you wanted to add from the first half?
No, not really.
All right. So second half starts, and I don't think there were any subs, but there were some switches made. So Bernardo Silva came in centrally, and Guedes, I think, moved out wide, and Romario flopped flanks. So you saw some interesting things kind of going on with the Portuguese lineup. And like I alluded to earlier, I thought that it put Bernardo Silva in a better position to succeed, and I think he was doing much better. One other thing I wanted to point out, Portugal's players, it seemed to be more than Uruguay's, were slipping all over the place throughout the match, and it was happening in the first half, and nobody made adjustments, and then it continued to happen throughout the game. Just another point that I wanted to throw out there. And clearly it impacted them when they were trying to shoot, when they were trying to cut, and it had an impact. Dalu, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I noticed as well. They kept sleeping, and a few of Uruguay's players slept as well. Actually, I think it might have had something to do with the pitch.
Well, it definitely did, but it just seemed like Portugal's were slipping more than Uruguay's, right? Or maybe that was just what it looked like to me, but it just seemed to be more Portugal's players were slipping than Uruguay's.
True.
Okay. Christian, any thoughts there?
They clearly were slipping more. Portugal just seemed to always be down, and In the last like 5 minutes of the game, like, did you see when the ball was swung into the box? Like 6 Portuguese players all fell down, and I was like, "How did all of them just go down? What just happened?" Because Uruguay only like one person fell down, so I was really confused. I don't know what was happening because I think I heard the commentator saying that Uruguay didn't train there, but Portugal did train there the day before to like get a feel for how the field is. So it's a little surprising to me that that happened.
Yeah, you would have expected it to go the other way. Now, from the specifics of the match, 55th minute, Portugal gets their equalizer through a corner kick, is played short and then swung in by Guerrero. I mean, it was only played short by about 2 yards, and then it more or less served as a corner kick, but just a slight wrinkle. Ronaldo drew 2 of the Uruguayan players to him as he was jumping up. It sailed just over his head, but Pepe was coming in behind and puts the header on frame. Christian, your thoughts on the goal?
Yeah, it's a great ball in, and Pepe really rose high there and really did a great job to get that ball into the net. And there's not really much else to say. It's a good set piece, just like we've seen all tournament so far. And it's another headed goal. And congrats to him for scoring his first World Cup goal. Good job.
Dalu, anything else to add on the goal?
Good job. Good job, Pepe. I don't like him as a player, but good job. He scored a nice goal. And I was kind of surprised he won a header in that box. In the 18, Uruguay's defense, I was really surprised. I didn't expect it, but it was a nice goal.
Yeah, because Uruguay is so good at defending, particularly on set pieces. So yeah, it's definitely a collector's item. 61st minute, Uruguay takes the lead again for good. There's a long ball out of the back. I didn't know if it was offside or a goal kick or whatever, but the ball is played out by Muslera, the Uruguayan goalkeeper. The 2 Portuguese defenders go for it. Suarez is up 2. I don't know who exactly wins the ball, but eventually it bounces to Betancourt, who settles it and just plays a great ball off to Cavani, who's crashing in from the left wing. He takes it first time with his right foot, just curves it far post. Just a superb goal. Dalu, thoughts on the goal?
That's classic Cavani. He's really talented. I think he's a really underrated player. Like globally, he's really underrated. His world, and that goal kind of sums him up. His class. He might miss a lot of chances, but he's really, really talented.
Christian, thoughts on the goal? Oh, sorry, Dalu.
Yeah, that was a beautiful goal. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, it was really stunning the way that they moved forward. It looked like they almost had 4 players against 2 defenders at that point, and he could have played the ball either side. I think Suarez was coming up on the right. And I was screaming at the TV, play to the right. He's so open, because I couldn't see Cavani in the front of the screen. So yeah, he chose the right option. I'll put it that way. And the finish is just amazing. That is such a good finish to put the ball, curl it like that around the goalie to the far post from like 20 out. That really is sensational to put the ball in the way that he did.
I'd agree with that. Last thing I wanted to highlight from this match, 71st minute, he was forced out of the match with looked like a calf injury. I mean, soft tissue injuries are not usually easy to recover from, especially with, the World Cup. Matches are pretty much every 4 or 5 days. So hopefully he can get right, because I think he was one of their best players on the pitch today. And, if they're forced to play without him, I mean, they're just not the same team. So hopefully he can get right. Dalu, anything else you want to add from this match?
That would really suck if he does not recover. I want him to play, honestly. That would really, really suck. Because I think they need him for France. They do need him for France. Hopefully he recovers. But he was on the bench the rest of the game, and he looked okay. I assume if he felt like his tournament was over, he might have been in tears. But he wasn't, so I'm hoping that he recovers. So, I don't know.
All right, so I think we're all hoping for that. Christian, anything else you want to add?
It looked like he was in tears at the end of the game, but maybe that was just because they won. I couldn't really tell.
It seemed more happy tears.
Yeah, I think so too. Happy tears. It's just how it is. So I was just so impressed watching Godin, and I am every single time. It is such an underrated skill to be a center back, and the way that he does it with such class. He's not dirty. He just does the game exactly how you should as a center back. And I just wish people really would watch him more and really be impressed with what he does, because he is clearly the best center back in the world right now.
Clearly the best.
The best center back in the world right
now. I do agree, honestly.
He's very good, but let's not get. I don't know if he's clearly the best center back in the world. We've been talking about Mats
clearly
Hummels.
the best center back in the
He's
world right now.
Atletico
Hummels is
Madrid.
also very, very good, but Hummels is
And
number two.
so's Varane.
No.
He's not clearly the best. I'm not going to say he's clearly the best. He is one of the best.
He's better than Hummels.
He's definitely
He's better
top
than
5.
Hummels.
He's clearly better than
He's better
Ramos.
than
That's
Hummels.
not even up for debate.
Ramos?
He's better than
Yeah.
Hummels. Better than Ramos. So who else is there?
I think Varane's up there. I don't know if he's clearly better than Hummels. I mean, it all depends on what we're talking about. In one-on-one defense,
Hummels in Germany's first few games, he looked terrible.
No,
he looked slow.
Hummels looks fantastic in Germany's games. He was hung out to dry.
I think Hummels actually was the best Germany player at the World Cup, but
yeah,
he's still. I mean, every game that he played in, they lost. So.
It wasn't Hummels' fault that it was one-on-one. Yeah, all right. Let's not go down this path. All right. So before we talk about tomorrow's matches, I wanted to quickly highlight our partner, StadiumScene.tv. So for those who don't know, sports fans, particularly in the U.S., if you're going to a stadium in the U.S., you want to go to StadiumScene.tv. Check out them. They have recommendations for bars to visit before the stadium, where to park, all kinds of things to do before and after the stadium. In addition to that, they partner with content creators like us at Bros Talking Soccer and others to offer blog posts, podcasts, YouTube videos, and so on and so forth. It's across all sports. So they have a bunch of soccer on there, but they also have hockey, basketball, American football, all the major sports. I think they just added NASCAR as well. So go to StadiumScene.tv and check them out. Now let's talk about tomorrow's matches. We got Spain versus Russia first, and then Croatia versus Denmark second. Dalu, what do you expect to happen tomorrow?
Spain beats Russia. Croatia floors Denmark.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Christian and I previewed yesterday what we expected to happen in the knockouts, and I think we're kind of in agreement. Christian, anything you wanted to add, really?
Yeah, these games suck. Spain's gonna run over Russia. I think Russia will get a goal, but it's going to be either 3 or 4-1. I just think Spain are too good. Isco and Iniesta really control the game and can create something from absolutely nothing. And Diego Costa is just up there, and he's scoring goals. He's confident right now. So I think Spain are going to be too much. We saw Russia against Uruguay, which was the first real test they had. And I think Spain on their day are better talent-wise than Uruguay. Maybe not setup-wise, but they can just run through teams if they want to. And they have World Cup winners in that squad already. So that's just how I feel that game's going to go. And Croatia, and stop making your faces. You can have your moment to talk after you're done. After I'm done. And Croatia, I think, are just going to be too good. I think it's going to be 2-0. I don't think Denmark are going to score. I love Eriksson, and I wish that they weren't up against Croatia because I would be rooting for them. But Croatia are my dark horses, and I have them winning the World Cup. For all of you who don't know yet, I have them winning. So here they go. This is where it starts. They're going to win this game 2-0.
All right. So just my response to the Russia versus Uruguay, and so now they can't play against Spain or whatever. Like, it's completely separate matches. Russia was resting a lot of people. Their second choice right back got a red card in the 35th minute. So again, I don't put too much stock in how they did against Uruguay impacting how they do against Spain. Having said that, I still expect Russia to lose this match. But it is the knockout rounds, and I don't want to completely discount these teams. And so I don't expect Spain to just roll like 4 or 5-0 or something like that. I think Russia will put up a fight, but Spain should triumph. And again, Croatia, Christian, I think you're spot on. I think this has 2-0 written all over it. I don't have a ton of faith in Denmark moving forward. Now, they do have some size, but Croatia can kind of match up with that size. And again, Croatia's midfield is just fantastic. Dalu, anything else you wanted to mention about anything we've talked about? Dalu, you there? I think we may have lost Dalu. Christian, anything else you wanted to mention about anything we've talked about so far?
Nope. I'm just looking forward to the next round here tomorrow. We're going to see some more games.
Yep. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, wait, I guess, should we mention what we think between France and Uruguay?
No, because we'll get to that later.
Okay.
And we also talked about it. Yeah, we also talked about that yesterday a bit. So unfortunately, it looks like we've lost Dalu, people on YouTube and podcast listeners, but we thank him for being here. Hopefully we'll get him back on sometime soon. Definitely go follow him on Twitter. I think he's at GDalFab, which again, we have linked in the video description and or podcast description. Also, if you're feeling interested in checking out some more of our content, please go visit the Soccer Tavern on YouTube. It is a channel where I'm discussing the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. So we have all kinds of videos on there. We have the national team history videos of the 32 teams at the World Cup and so on and so forth. So we have all kinds of other videos on there too. So please go check that out. Love to hear from you. If you want to get in contact with us, our Twitter handle is @BTSoccerPod. Christian and I are live tweeting a bunch during the World Cup. And so we'd love to hear from you. Love to get your thoughts on the matches and all of that. Also, if you want to contact us on email, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. And please check out our website, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com, to read about us, check out past episodes, and more. I know some of you who are watching on YouTube or have watched in the past ask about like our podcast and how to find that. brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com will have all of that information. I mean, we're on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn. We're trying to get on Spotify, but we should be on most of the major platforms. And if we're not on one, please let us know. Christian, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Dave. It was just a delight.
As always, Dalu, we thank him again, and hopefully we can get him back. And
yeah, his picture's still there, so
yeah, he's somewhere. Yeah, we just can't hear him. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you all tomorrow. See you, everybody.
Bye bye.